Once again, welcome to today's lecture on Foundation of Language and Linguistics. I'm delighted to guide you through the fascinating subject. In this session, we will explore various definitions of language. By the end of this lesson, you will have a clear understanding of the language. The first unit is about preliminaries of language and linguistics, and we'll deal with the first part, definition of language and linguistics. And the learning objective of this lesson, particularly related to language, I'm going to discuss in the first part, and at the end of this lesson, you will be able to define language in your own way. Before beginning to the definition of language, let's begin from communication. Communication is very important in human life. Before learning about the definition of language, you need to know about communication. So communication is one of the important aspects of our everyday life. Wherever we go, we need to communicate to keep relationship with others. So language is also a social skill. And there are different ways of communication. Beyond language also, we can communicate. There are symbolic systems that we can use for communication. But language is the advanced form of communication that human beings possess. So there are more than 6,000 languages spoken all over the world. And within Nepal also, there are more than 124 languages spoken as ethnic languages. Each language is rule governed, and it is systematic and dynamic. Language goes on changing. As you know, even you see the Shakespeare's time language and present day language are very different. The vocabulary changes, the grammar changes. So we have to know. And in this part of the video, you will learn what language is. And there is no straightforward definition of language. There are different scholars who define language as differently, and none of these definitions are very complete. So based on these definitions that we discuss in this video, you will be coming up with your own definition of language. Let's go. Language is commonly defined as a means of communication. So language has been variously defined by scholars. Let us begin from Oxford Advanced Learner's Dictionary that many people use. According to our Oxford Advanced Learner's Dictionary, 10th edition, language is a system of communication in speech and writing that is used by people of a particular country or area. In this definition, speech and writing both are focused, and people in a certain area use language, and the same language is used by different group of people in different ways. Similarly, one renowned scholar, David Crystal, who has written the book Dictionary of Phonetics and Linguistics, defines language as this way. At its most specific level, the term language may refer to concrete act of speaking, writing, or signing in a given situation. Look at this definition. In this definition, Crystal is focusing on the term language to refer to the act of speaking or the act of writing and giving sign in a certain situation. Let us look at the next definition given by Sapir. According to Sapir, language is purely human and non-instinctive method of communication. It is the way of communicating ideas, emotions, and desires by means of voluntarily produced symbols. Look at the key words. Sapir says that language is purely human. That means other animals do not possess this kinds of capacity. And it is non-instinctive. By non-instinctive, it means that, okay, humans have the capacity to speak, to say, to explain, and it is not biological, that is learned only after the birth. So for example, different sounds made by different animals like cats, like meow, okay, and some other animals, they have fixed set of let's say sounds, and their way of communication is instinctive. That means, so that comes by birth, but for humans it is culturally transmitted and learned after birth from their older generation, that is their parents, their society, at home, and it is the means of communicating ideas, emotions, desires, and by using voluntarily produced symbols. So Sapir is using another keyword, voluntary. So if we, voluntary means it is produced with our will. If we want, we speak. So if we don't want to speak, nobody can make us speak. So, and Sapir is also using the word symbols, and those symbols, language also uses lots of symbols to communicate it as, and we human beings give meaning to those symbols. Another scholar, Bloch and Trager, has defined language as a system of arbitrary vocal symbols by means of which social group operates. That means language is arbitrary. There is no reason why certain objects are named like that. For example, the same word dog is explained as kukur in Nepali, kutta in Hindi, but English people say dog. Therefore, it is a part that we need to be be careful about. And so different languages use different terminologies for the same object. That means language is arbitrary. There is no reason why that is named like that. Similarly, another renowned scholar, Chomsky, has defined language as a set of sentences, each finite in length and constructed out of a finite set of elements. So here, Chomsky is focusing on the finite set of rules which can produce infinite, unlimited number of words and sentences based on fixed set of rules. So based on these definitions, let us see the key words there. Based on the definitions given by scholars, some scholars are focusing on one area of language communication, but all of them focus language as a means of communication. Let's see other keywords like human, specific, non-instinctive, vocal, voluntary, arbitrary, and language as individual as well as social skill. So based on these definitions given by the scholars, we can conclude. Now we can conclude based on these definitions that language is arbitrary, voluntary, vocal system of human communication. And let's discuss about these keywords in detail. So the first word is arbitrary. As I already mentioned, there is no any natural correlation between linguistic signals and the objects or the concept they refer to. The words or the symbols used in language are more conventional than a matter of logic. So there is no logic. There is no reason why the same crow of the cock is called kukurika in Nepali. The same crow of the cock is called kokkeduduldu in English, and the same crow is called kikiriki in German. Similarly, in Japanese, the same crow of cock is called kokkekoko. So this proves that language is completely arbitrary, and these arbitrary signals are given in their language. The next keyword is voluntary. So voluntary means language is produced according to the desire or wish of the speaker. Whether we speak or not depends on our will, our desire as a speaker. So for example, coughing, sneezing also produce vocal sounds, but they are not voluntary because we cannot control that. These can't be linguistic signals because they are involuntary sounds. they automatically come. We don't have any means to control that. So they are not deliberate human actions. We can't produce or stop them at our will. They naturally occur. But to be language, that need to be voluntary, and that should be produced at will. Another keyword is vocal. Language is produced through vocal organs, and language primarily means the spoken form. There is written form as well, but primarily language is spoken, and the spoken form is converted into written symbol later. So writing is only the graphical representation of the speech. Some sounds like banging the table or clicking the fingers can also produce sounds, but it can't be called language because they are not produced from vocal organs. So in order to be called language, that should be produced with vocal organs. Our vocal organs means our mouth, our lips, our tongue, our voice box, and you will be learning this in detail in Unit 2. Another keyword is a system. Language is not haphazard collection of symbols. So all vocal sounds can be called language. All the sounds that we produce from our vocal organs may not be language. And there is a system to be called language. Language is not a random collection of human vocal sounds. The vocal sound signals should be used systematically and should be meaningful in everyday life. If they are not meaningful, and that can be called language. For example, the word B-O-O-K, book. It consists of three sounds, ba, u, and ka. And first ba sound should come, then u, then ka. But you can say ka, u, ba, and it doesn't have meaning. Or in writing form also, O-K-O-B or O-O-K-B. This does not give any meaning. It must begin from B and sequentially go to B-O-O-K to give its meaning. So there is a system of making sounds, there is a system of making words, phrases, and sentences. So language is a system. Similarly, another keyword is human. Language is possessed specially by humans, and language is acquired exclusively by human beings. The capacity to learn any language is in humans. It comes by birth. It is genetically endowed in every human, and wherever the human is, either in China or America or in Nepal or India or Pakistan, the human child has capacity to learn language, and that capacity comes by birth. But this capacity is not in other animals. So all normal humans can acquire any language. They have the capacity to learn by birth. This is human. Therefore, language is purely human. Although some animals can copy some human sounds, they cannot be called language because they are not as creative as humans. The next keyword is communication. Language is a means of communication. Among many different means of communication, language is one, and it is one of the most advanced means of communication human beings possess. So based on the above discussion, we can say that language is arbitrary, voluntary, vocal system of human communication. So these keywords need to be considered, and we have to be very careful when we define language. There is no straightforward and single definition of language, and based on these definition and discussion on this video, you can create your own definition of language and write, but you should be careful about using these keywords in your definition. And thank you very much, and thank you for watching this video. And in the next video, we'll be talking about definition of linguistics. Thank you for watching the video once again. Namaste.